no difference who you are. Oh, oh, hi. I didn't see you there. Would you like to hear a story?
There once was a miller who had one beautiful daughter, and as she was grown up, he was anxious that she should be well married and provided for. He said to himself, "I will give her to the first suitable man who comes and asks for her hand." Well, not long after, a suitor appeared, and as he appeared to be very rich, the miller could see nothing in him to which to find fault. He betrothed his daughter to him. But the girl did not care for the man, as the girl ought to care for her betrothed husband. She did not feel that she could trust him. She could not look at him nor think of him without an inward shudder. Now one day he said to her, "You have not yet paid me a visit, although we have been betrothed for some time." "I do not know where your house is," she answered. "My house is out there in the dark forest," he said. She tried to excuse herself by saying that she would not be able to find the way thither. Her betrothed only replied, "You must come and see me next Sunday. I have already invited guests for that day, and that you may not mistake the way, I will strew ashes along the path." Well, when Sunday came, and it was the time for the girl to start, a feeling of dread came over her, in which she could not explain, and that she might be able to find her path again. Why, she filled her pockets with peas and lentils to sprinkle on the ground as she went along. On reaching the entrance to the forest, she found the path was strewn with ashes, and these she followed, throwing down some peas on either side of her every step she took. She walked the whole day until she came to the deepest, darkest part of the forest. There she saw a lonely house, looking so grim and mysterious that it did not please her at all. She stepped inside, but not a soul was to be seen, and a great silence reigned throughout. Suddenly a voice cried, turn back, young maiden fair, linger not in this murderer's lair." The girl looked up, and she saw that the voice came from a bird hanging in a cage on the wall. Again it cried, turn back, young maiden fair, linger not in this murderer's lair." The girl passed on, going from room to room of the house, but they were all empty, and still she saw no one. At last she came to the cellar, and there sat a very, very old woman who could not keep her head from shaking. "Can you tell me," asked the girl, "if my betrothed husband lives here?" "Ah, you poor child," answered the old woman. "What a place for you to come to! This is a murderer's den. You think yourself a promised bride, and that your marriage will soon take place, but it is with death that you will keep your marriage feast. Look, do you see that large cauldron of water in which I am obliged to keep on the fire? Well, as soon as they have you in their power, they will kill you without mercy, and they will cook you and eat you, for they are eaters of men. If I did not take pity on you and save you, you would be lost." Thereupon the old woman led her behind a large cask, in which he hid her from view. "Keep still as a mouse," she said. "Do not move or speak, or it will be all over with you. Tonight, when the robbers are all asleep, we will flee together. I have long been waiting for an opportunity for this to come, and now it has come to escape." Why, the words were hardly out of her mouth when the godless crew returned, dragging another young girl along with them. They were all drunk, and they paid no heed to her cries and lamentations. They gave her wine to drink, 3 glasses full, one of white wine, one of red wine, and one of yellow. And with that her heart gave way and she died. And then they tore off her dainty clothing. They laid her on a table, and they cut her beautiful body into pieces and sprinkled salt upon it. The poor betrothed girl crouched trembling and shuddering behind the cask, for she saw what a terrible fate had been intended for her by the robbers. One of them now noticed a gold ring still remaining on the little finger of the murdered girl. And as he could not draw it off easily, he took a hatchet and he cut off the finger. The finger, it sprang into the air, and it fell behind the cask, right into the lap of the girl who was hiding there. The robber took a light and began looking for that little finger, but could not find it. "Have you looked behind that large cask?" said one of the others. But the old woman called out, Come now, eat your suppers. That thing will still be there tomorrow. You know, that little finger's not going to run away." And the old woman, she led the robbers away. "Yes, that old woman, she's right," said the robbers. And they ceased looking for that finger, and they sat down. The old woman then mixed a sleeping pill into their wine. And before long, why, they were all laying on the floor of the cellar, fast asleep and snoring. As soon as the girl was assured of this, she came from behind the cask. She was obliged to step over the bodies of the sleeping robbers who were lying close together. And every moment she was filled with renewed dread, lest she should wake any of them. But God helped her, so that she passed safely over the top of them. And then she and the old woman went upstairs. They opened the door and hastened as fast as they could from the murderer's den. They found the ashes scattered by the wind, but the peas and the lentils had sprouted and had grown sufficiently above the ground to guide them in the moonlight. All night long they had walked and walked, and it was morning before they reached the mill. Then the girl told her father all that it had happened. The day came that had been fixed for their marriage, and the bridegroom arrived, and also a large company of guests, for the miller had taken care to invite all of his friends and relations. As they sat at the feast, each guest in turn was asked to tell a tale. The bride sat still and did not say a word. "And you, my love?" said the bridegroom, turning to her. "Is there no tale that you know? Please, tell us something." "Oh, okay, I will tell you a dream then," said the bride. "I went alone through the forest, and I came at last to this house, and not a soul could I find there, but there was a bird that was hanging in a cage on the wall, and it cried, 'Turn back, young maiden fair, linger not in this murder's lair.' And a second time it said these words, 'Oh, my darling, that is only a dream.' Well, listen, there's still more to my dream. I went on through the house from room to room, but all of the rooms were empty, and everything was so grim and mysterious. At last I went down to the cellar, and there sat a very, very old woman. She could not keep her head still. And I asked her if my betrothed lived down there, and she answered, 'Oh, you poor child, you have come to a murderer's den. Your betrothed does not intend to live here, but he's going to kill you without mercy here. And afterwards, he's going to cook you and eat you.'" "Oh, now, come on, my darling. This is only a dream that you had." "Okay, but listen, honey. There's more. The old woman, she took me, she hid me behind a large cask. And scarcely had she done this when the robbers came back home. They were dragging a young girl along with them, and they gave her 3 kinds of wine to drink. Well, they gave her a white one, and a red one, and a yellow one. And after she drank the yellow one, she died." "Oh, my darling, come now, don't be upset. This is only a dream." Wait, there's more. Then they tore off her dainty clothing and they cut her beautiful body into pieces and they sprinkled salt all over it. Oh, darling, did I tell you once already that this is just a dream? And one of the robbers saw that there was a gold ring still left on that girl's finger. And it was so difficult to draw off that he took a hatchet and he cut off her finger, but the finger sprang up into the air and it fell behind a great cask right onto my lap. And here's the finger with the ring. And with these words, the bride drew forth the finger and showed it to all of the assembled wedding guests. The bridegroom, who during this recital had grown deadly pale, up and tried to escape, but the guests seized him and held him fast. They delivered him up to justice, all right. He and all of his murderous band were condemned to death for their wicked deeds.